What's up, ladies and gents? It's your boy Big Champ. I'm gonna hold it down today alone. Steve is not going to be joining us, but he's going to join on the next one. He's got a value add for you guys. This is episode 22. Today we're going to be talking about the White House's roadmap to mitigate cryptocurrencies risk. And we're going to touch on a couple other things that just kind of came out within the last 24 to 48 hours. This is going to set the pace for 2023. You know, we're early in the year, so there's going to be a lot of changes that's going to happen. So I want you guys to kind of pay attention to everything that's going on around you. Always remember that crypto is a global thing, not a domestic thing. So, you know, just kind of keep everything, you know, keep your antennas up. Spence, good looking on that. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get right into it. All right, somebody let me know you guys can see this.
Yeah.
All right, bet. So first things first is the White House just put this out on the 27th. Yeah, bear with me. Hide the flow of paintings. So the White House just put this out on the 27th of January. This is just a couple of days ago. It's called the administration's roadmap to mitigate cryptocurrencies risk. So basically what it talks about is over the past couple of years, everything that was going on in cryptocurrency up until really the last year when we had, you know, a crazy crash when it came to the Celsius situation, the Terra Luna crash, you know, and the liquidity crisis that we're currently facing. So I told you guys, and Steve told you guys on separate occasions and collectively, it was an attack on stablecoins in crypto. Anybody who's taken the boot camp, you guys know the difference between just a general asset-backed stablecoin and, you know, the difference between an algorithmic stablecoin. So I'm going to focus on algorithmic stablecoins just so you guys know, value add, not to insult anybody's intelligence. You guys are all bright, you know, on this call, so you guys kind of know this already. But to anybody who doesn't know, a algorithmic stablecoin is a stablecoin that is able to mint or burn just to kind of keep the peg, right? This is what they do. They're not backed by anything whatsoever. It's all technology, right? So in the world, there's pros and cons to that, right? So you would think, hey, that's pretty cool. You don't have to worry about things like a Tether situation or USDC. Tether situation is different because Tether never releases or gives us full transparency of what its reserves consist of. So you don't know what Tether is backed by. You just know that Tether is a widely adopted stablecoin. It's one of the top two, right? You know, the competitor, the number 2 on the list was USDC. USDC has been 100% transparent. So it's literally night and day. But then you had your Terra Luna crash. And when Terra Luna crashed, you had the stablecoin. It was an algorithmic stablecoin. It literally imploded. It's not backed by nothing. It's all digitized, and it's basically software that allows the coin to burn, to get rid of coins, to keep the peg, or to be able to mint more coins and create new ones, right? It's not backed by anything though. So when it comes time to the retail investor being able to invest in or use the stablecoin and be able to put it into the market, there's always some sort of failure point when it comes to something that's analog, right? Or something that's all digital, excuse me. And that's just not going to work in the new quantum financial system. We told you guys 1,000 times, everything is going to be asset-based down to your stable coins. Your stable coins have to be 100% backed one-to-one with the coin and reserves. They have to be. It is not going to work any other way. No other country is going to allow it. So Tether has gotten away with this for years. I told you guys the relationship between Tether and Bitcoin. So you do know when it's all said and done and a black swan happens, it's already a war on stablecoins. So just be prepared for it. But your major stablecoin that is still standing, and it is going to cause a cataclysmic decline in the market, right? That's what the black swan is all about, is if Tether dies, right? They already have, it's just so much going against it. These guys are shady practices. Just it just continues. It's just a snowball effect over the years, and it's never, ever, ever been looking good for Tether. Never, right? So because we don't know what their reserves are by, this is why we tell y'all from the jump, do not use Tether if you don't have to. Use USDC, because USDC is probably going to be the government approved stablecoin. But I say all that to say, in this report, it's basically telling you that stablecoins have imploded, and they were only talking about the Terra Luna situation, and then they started to talk about the other ones, right? There were other stablecoins that began to depeg, right? Depeg just means it no longer was worth that dollar range, right? It broke its peg. Stablecoins are normally valuated at $1, right? And they'll normally go down to like 99 cents and some change, but or just above $1, but they always play that same range. That's because they're actually pegged, right? But once you have a situation that happened like Terra Luna, it breaks peg. Once it breaks peg, we were seeing coins that were supposed to be held at $1 become 50 cents, 60 cents, 30 cents, right? Even Tether broke its peg. So no stable coin was safe except for USDC. USDC actually showed its reserves. They put out a report every month, et cetera, right? So they're stating their claim. This is giving them a competitive advantage in the world of stable coins. But with this White House report, it's literally letting everybody know, listen, there are a lot of risks that are involved in cryptocurrency. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to mitigate it. They're trying to kind of nip things in the bud. But it's not just stable coins. It's actually mainstream cryptocurrencies. We all know, what's the first coin that you think of when you think about cryptocurrency, right? Just in general. I want somebody to drop it in the chat or unmute yourself and say it.
Bitcoin.
There you go. Right. So when it comes to
Bitcoin,
right, Bitcoin, when you think about it, it's like the Nike of sneakers, right? So when you think about it, it'll sneaker 9 times out of 10, just out of the major brands, people have the brand selection to go towards Nike, right? So with cryptocurrency, when they talk about crypto, they normally blanket and they'll say Bitcoin. They don't go into the altcoins. They don't go into any other project outside of Bitcoin, typically. So when you read these reports, you have to be really, really careful about the words that they use and how they word things. So I want you guys to just be really, really conscious of that. A couple of days ago, I actually shot a video for this. I'm gonna play the video just because, I mean, it's already shot, so you guys can, see it and get my take on it. What's up, ladies and gents? It's your boy Big Chin, here to bring you some news. On January 27th, 2023, the White House released this administration's roadmap to mitigate cryptocurrency's risk. In this report, they break down what has been happening over the past couple of years in cryptocurrency, specifically over the last year, starting with the Terra Luna crash. Then you had Celsius, FTX, and the snowball effect of all these DeFi and decentralized finance protocols and staking platforms, basically taking people's money, using them, the companies erroneously handling the funds and then making bad investments with those funds. And it caused the liquidity crisis that we're facing right now. But there's one thing that this report lays out, and I'm going to read this verbatim so you understand that this is just not my opinion. And I quote, while congressional action in these areas would be welcome, Congress could also make our jobs harder and worsen the risk to investors in the financial system. Legislation should not greenlight mainstream institutions. Yeah, right. Again, legislation should not greenlight mainstream institutions like pension funds to dive headfirst in the cryptocurrency markets. Over the past years, the limited exposures that financial institutions have had to cryptocurrencies prevented a lot of the turmoil that was happening in crypto to spread to other financial systems. They said, and again, I quote, it would be a grave mistake to enact legislation that reverses course and deepens the ties between cryptocurrencies and a broader financial system. Listen, this could be easily misconstrued that they don't want anything to do with cryptocurrencies. That is the furthest thing from the truth. If you look at the top 100 companies on the S&P 500, they already have exposure, they're already investing, or they have someone that is able to be custodians for their cryptocurrency investments. And 99% of Ripple's customer base is already outside of the United States. So while this is going on in the United States and it's slowing down innovation, I also know that, and you should also already know, that you see the top companies, Nike, Adidas, Balenciaga, Gucci, all of the above, all of these guys already have metaverses and cryptocurrency ties. So it's already happening. Nothing's going to slow this train down. It's already left the station. But when you read certain things like this, basically what they're doing is they're trying to separate the BS from the great projects. There are cryptocurrencies who do nothing, and then there's cryptocurrencies who solve real world problems. They actually help innovation, and they help these old antiquated ways that we've been under for the past 100 years. So while you guys are always being fed Bitcoin and Ethereum, we were the first people to tell you that Bitcoin and ETH are essentially meme coins. They're going
to. So listen, I'm telling you guys off the bat, when we said that, we knew it was jarring. We knew that was one of those situations where people wasn't going to really be too receptive to, right? We told you off the bat, Bitcoin and Ethereum were going to be altcoins. The reason we're saying that is because there are so many people that are investing in those top two, right? Because they were the first. ETH was just one of the platforms that allowed people to have smart contracts. When you have smart contracts and you make it a little bit easier for companies or entities to build upon your platform, upon that layer one, it makes it easy for you to continue to build and keep having enterprise adoption, right? But now you have to understand, even after all of these years that crypto has been in place, Bitcoin still doesn't have a use case. They've tried to adopt it in multiple countries, etc. But what has it done? You see Venezuela, is Venezuela doing any better? No, it's actually doing worse. And that was one of the countries that adopted it. You know what I mean? And then now they're telling you about carbon credits. Anybody who's been following the World Economic Forum and everything that's going on in Davos, they're telling you flat out verbatim, carbon credits are going to be a thing. So if you are an enterprise, if you're a country, if you are an entity, and you're operating and you're absorbing too much energy, using too much power, you're not green, you're not it, right? They're not messing with you. They even went as far as to put out an excerpt. It's a PDF. It's a report. It's called the Green Swan, right? The green adoption. Green adoption just means they want everything to be energy efficient. They want things to be carbon neutral. There are certain blockchains that exist that are already carbon neutral. They've already invested millions of dollars in upgrading their protocols and their systems and their whole ecosystem to be carbon neutral. And everybody that's in our 1%, you know, you guys are going to be privy to a lot of things that the average person isn't going to see, right? You just have to be a person who's willing to deep dive. And I mean, you have to truly deep dive in order to uncover a lot of this information, right? All of our 1%ers, you guys are going to get this. I actually got a couple things I'm going to drop for you guys in the upcoming days that talks about carbon neutral and things like that. So you'll know where to invest, where to look, you know, and it'll help you in your journey. But I say all this, I actually want to share something else with you guys. So can everybody see my screen? Somebody unmute yourself and let me know.
Yes.
Yes, I could.
Yeah. Cool. Appreciate y'all. All right, this fluent pen.
I see. Oh, yeah, now I see it.
All right, so look, check this out. So in a report, I was just telling you guys about algorithmic stablecoins, right? Look at the title of this article. Hong Kong will not tolerate algorithmic stablecoins in new regulation. And it's telling you that Hong Kong is going to have their stablecoin regulations no later than 2024. What year are we in? 2023. So if we already are here, right? And the White House, the US, this is our side, the domestic, everybody that's on the call that's from the US, here, we feel like the United States is lagging, right? Other countries are implementing their regulatory clarity, their regulatory framework. We're getting there, right? At least that's what they led us to believe, that we're actually getting there. I personally believe we already have regulations. I just think they're doing this dog and pony show just because they're trying to stall and they're trying to make sure that everything is in place. There's certain things that go live within this year and next year, and mass adoption is literally upon us. So when it happens, you're going to get a situation where the lights have to go out. You have to go from the old to the new. The old projects that's antiquated, they're going to have to phase out, right? But they want to make sure that they're going to keep feeding us these issues that happen, the Terra Luna collapses, the liquidity crisis, the Celsius, the Alameda, the FTX situations, right? The retail investor always has to suffer. Then they're going to present certain things to us to say, hey, listen, we're going to step in and we're going to be, Superman, and we're going to have our cape on that lets you know we're here to help you guys. When in all actuality, a lot of this stuff is just pre-planned, man. I've seen this for years to come. This isn't the first time major exchanges have harmed retail investors. This is not the first time huge exchanges have taken retail investors' money, erroneously allocated it to other investments and commingled funds like company funds and the customers' funds. And then they've used it to go do whatever, purchase houses, cars, nonsense. It is not the first time and it's not going to be the last. But what they're doing is they have to be able to phase out a lot of these projects, but they have to let you guys feel the fear. So if you're educated, you're going to be less fearful. You're just going to know how to move. In your mind, you're going to think, I have something else that I need to accomplish and that I can be doing to benefit from this situation. Because it's always like this, you never let a good crisis go to waste. So normally in crisis, in times of dire restraints, we're about to see a recession. You see these interest rates going up. The market has just basically been dry. Bitcoin and everything else stayed and hovered right at that 15, 16,000 mark. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's at 23K. What happened? Absolutely nothing. The only thing that came out was today we had the FOMC, that the interest rates went up a quarter, but we already knew that was going to happen. They're not doing quantitative easing, so they're not just going to randomly print, more money that they've previously done. But it's going to come to a point where two things are going to happen, right? On a broad spectrum, we're going to see the recession. We're going to keep seeing these increases in increments. They're going to continue to happen. But outside of that, you're also going to see cryptocurrency form, and it's going to start to take shape. You're going to start to see more governments, more Fortune 500 companies, more enterprises. They're going to dive into the Web3 space. They're going to dive into just basically interoperability with certain cryptocurrencies, because they already know that blockchain technology is disruptive and they don't want to be left behind. So because they already know what's happening, they already see the adoption that currently exists. And then they know statistically, look how many people are currently invested as opposed to the rest of the world, who we're going to automatically move to a digital form of currency anyway. So they know the potential is there, and they're set to make billions and billions and billions and trillions of dollars, right? There's companies on the sidelines right now with trillions of dollars waiting to pour in. So because they already know this, these countries, they're setting up their frameworks for the rest of the world to operate and use, right? So I want you guys to make sure you're really, really paying attention to certain things like this. Algorithmic stablecoins, it's essentially, it's all just software. So with anything that's created, there's room for human error. If there's room for human error, the same thing happened with LUNC. When Terra Luna stablecoin crashed, it already had a backdoor that allowed it to basically have an Achilles heel. That Achilles heel was what crashed it. When that crash happened, all stablecoins became under attack. So now if you're looking at things from a broader perspective, you can kind of sit back and just kind of size up the market, and you say, okay, the algorithmic stablecoins, they crashed. But also these other stablecoins crashed. But which ones bounced back almost instantaneously? It was your Tether, right? And Tether's super trash, but they used Tether to pump Bitcoin, right? So if you know that relationship, you know why it still survived, right? But then when you look at
companies like Circle, who issues USDC. USDC puts out their reserves all the time. They're forefront. They tell you 100%, hey, this is what's going on. This is what our reserves are. All of our USDC coins are back 1-to-1 with the reserve. You know what I mean? And they're monthly, they're having these audits and they're revealing this to the masses. It's right on their website. Anybody can view this, right? You don't have to be a crypto aficionado, none of that. You literally can go to Circle's website, go to USDC and pull up the reserves, and it'll show you every single month since they've been operational, you know, what their reserves are backed by. So I tell you guys all the time, just know what you're doing, because around you, the world is starting to implement regulations. And as the world is starting to implement regulations, you know that more people are going to start coming in, because what they're doing is they're setting the table for more adoption, right? On the retailing side, which is you and I, and then on the institutional side. And you know, governments are nothing but oversized institutions. You got to start looking at governments, because they all just handle business. That's it. It's all about commerce. It's all about the movement of money. And now they're trying to set things up so that the movement of money is super efficient, super effective, no failures. You know, and it's just the barrier of entry is lowered so that more people can come in and use it. As these companies dump billions and billions of dollars into it, they're going to continue to make money because efficiencies and innovation happen almost daily, right? They're able to cut ties with certain things. They're able to get rid of the old antiquated ways that we normally operate under, to now these new methods to where you're able to cut out the middleman. You're able to shave, you know, $500 million in fees or overhead, because now everything is becoming digital. The efficiency in the way we move value and money is going to be like how we send a text message or how we send money, right? I mean, excuse me, how we send a text message or how we send an email. That's what the main goal of movement of money is all about. So I want you guys to understand, this just came out yesterday, just yesterday. And they're telling you by 2024, they should already have a 100% clear-cut regulatory framework for stablecoins and just period, cryptocurrency. So if other countries around the world are already using this, and these other countries they're powers, right? They're not superpowers, but they're huge. Their impact on the world is ginormous. So when you look at the United States and you look at how the United States is placed amongst the rankings, we're a superpower. But when you keep hearing the phrase level playing field, that means it's not going to be one sole superpower. These other countries, Russia, China, they're already moving away from the petrodollar. They're already moving away from the dollar itself. They're moving off of the SWIFT system. They're finding other ways to transact in and back in their currencies with commodities, gold, things like that, right? So the last Dot Connect, if you didn't watch that, please make sure you go back and watch episode 21, where I talked about how certain currencies are going to start being backed by precious metals, right? Rocks, minerals, things, just things of the world, right? But it's going to be mostly gold and silver. These things are going to give the money back value again. So as this happens, understand it's not just going to be the United States, the superpower. It's going to be a few superpowers, and everybody is going to have to be able to transact and move money, because we're all going to be certain citizens in different countries. The value has to sustain. So just know that this stuff is going on. It's happening all around you, and you guys got to really, really be on point to not miss a thing. But the Hong Kong monetary system, Hong Kong Monetary Association, I think it is, authority. So I was just looking at this just right before we got on the call, and it says that they have 4 main functions, basically to maintain the stability of the Hong Kong dollar, promote the safety of the Hong Kong's banking system. They're going to manage the official Hong Kong reserves and maintaining and developing Hong Kong's financial infrastructure. So again, I go back to this article and I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay, if this is going to be in stone no later than 2024, right? We don't know at what point in 2024, but give or take, we're 1 year away, right? In 10 months already, we're going to be in 2024. Time is not waiting.
So when it comes to cryptocurrency, just think about how many laws, rules, regulations, frameworks, roadmaps, all of these things are going to be published and created, and they're happening now daily. So if you're not paying attention to what's going on to the mainstream news that's coming out to you, or the information that we're putting out to you, imagine how much you're going to miss when it just happens, and it's going to feel like it's overnight. That's where a lot of the sentiment comes from. They say things are going to happen overnight. The reason is because they're not making this stuff easily accessible to you. But in this day and age, we have the internet. We have something that we can easily assess. You know, for those of us who aren't distracted with social media and just on there scrolling and wasting precious hours of our life, you know, we're actually on here digging, finding new information, you know, valuable things that we can kind of share amongst one another that's going to help us move forward. It's here. And you're seeing it. We present this to you every week. There's always something new that we're able to bring to the table for you guys. You know, and most may have never heard of it, never seen it. So just imagine how blessed and lucky you guys are to already be in the space. Now, there's going to be people outside of you who have no clue what's about to happen, right? They're in no shape, form, or fashion to have a digital revolution or a financial revolution whatsoever. I tell all my guys, like, you know, there's a lot of people that's in credit repair. You know, we bought my guy Dub on. Dub handles business, right? So I'm thinking to myself, Herman, it's a lot of guys who are in that realm, right? And I'm thinking to myself, all right, so people who may not have liquid capital, right? But they may have great credit, and they're able to kind of get into cryptocurrency, or they're able to get loans and things like that. You're able to create liquidity, but at some point they may even halt that. So some of the old ways that some of us have been accustomed to, and then some people who just had no clue about, we may have been accessing, but at some point things are going to stop because the world is literally going to a asset-backed system. So what happens? That remains to be seen. But you know, Steve always talks about, you know, when we transition into this asset-backed system, you know, you're also going to have your carbon footprint. You know what I mean? What you're posting online. All of these types of things are going to start to come into play because they're already happening in other countries. So if Hong Kong is telling you 2024, this article from the United States was just posted a couple of days ago on the 27th of January, and they're already laying out, hey, these are the certain risks. We're telling you that it's hyper dangerous for any hedge fund or big institutions to dive into mainstream cryptos. Then they're telling you either one, they're just separating the coins that don't do anything from the coins that actually solve real world problems. And they're literally creating a line in the sand. They're making the division. All right, these coins over here, trash. We don't want you to invest in them. But they didn't tell you which ones to invest in. They didn't tell you which ones they're going to automatically be utilizing. That's where your homework comes in. That's where we come in. That's where the university comes in, where we're finding certain gems. We're seeing how countries are now progressing. They're moving from an old way to a new way, right? New systems coming online, new valuations for their currencies. They're finding new minerals and new commodities on their lands, on their soils, right? And that itself is giving you, the country, more value. So like I said, there's going to be multiple superpowers that exist. And with all of these frameworks and things coming on, I know for sure, either one, we already have regulations and they're just playing this game with everybody. They just want to kind of lead to a buildup, and then they're going to release it and it's going to feel like, hey, this just happened overnight. Or they really are this slow, but everybody's moving at the same pace, right? Regardless of what the news is telling you. Hong Kong just did this. The UK just did this. Like, here, you have it right here. UK Treasury publishes crypto framework paper, and this was done 13 hours ago. So what I'm saying to you guys is, like, either I'm crazy and I'm just seeing things, or literally as this news is coming out, it's telling you multiple countries around the world are all coming out with their frameworks. So everybody is kind of working at the same speed, at the same time. They're laying out the ground rules for their country. And then what's going to happen?
right? It does no good if each individual country has their framework and they come out with their rules and regulatory process. They provide clarity to everybody, but nobody is working together. That makes no sense, right? The same way we have laws in this country, the UK and Europe have their laws, Venezuela and South America and all these other countries, they have their own frameworks, right? The rules and the laws that they set up for their land, but we all interoperate. We're all involved in cross-border payments, remittances, cross-border trade, right? Commerce. It happens all the time. Think about it. The cell phones that we use, these joints was made in China. These joints wasn't made, a lot of these computer chips and things like that that we utilize, they all come from different countries. We're importing this stuff. We're not creating all of this stuff here just solely in the United States. We have to import it. So what do we have to do? We have to pay for it. And then on top of paying for it, we also have the supply chain system. Then with the supply chain system, you have to be able to kind of track everything that's going on, all the movements, all the preparation to go from point A to point B, right? If there's an intermediary that has to be involved and they have to be paid, how do you think they're paid, right? This is all interoperability. This is what this is all about. So I always follow the money, right? This is just my personal train of thought. This is the way that I operate. I know that I can follow money like nobody else, right? When it comes to certain countries and how they transact with one another, I can see certain things because of the way they do business, right? This country may have minimized the amount of oil that they're taking in, right? But outside of that oil, now they have something else that's going to be a substitute. Instead of the oil, now they want to go electric cars, right? Hybrids, solar panel vehicles, you know, things like that, right? You're starting to see that plus up. But if this country has just shortened how much or the quantity of oil that they need, just know that there's another country that's going to plus up, because they know if, let's say the United States is the one who pluses up, we already know that they have started certain things, like they're going to ban gas-enabled cars by, I think it was like 2035 or something like that in California. And there was a couple other states that jumped on the bandwagon. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, yeah, that kind of aligns with this whole carbon footprint thing. You know, they're going to get rid of fossil fuels and petroleum oils and all that good stuff, right? Because other countries are moving away from the petrodollar anyway. But if they're going all electric, what is the rest of the world doing? The United States used to be a super innovator, right? We were just such a big presence that if we did something, other countries would follow. Now, a lot of these countries don't like the tariffs and the things that they are subjugated to. So what they do is they say, all right, you guys are doing this, but Russia's over here backing their currency with gold, and they're doing this. They're doing X, Y, and Z. They're creating a new pipeline to be able to funnel fuel from A to B and cut out middlemen. So let me invest my money over here. And that all comes from following the money. It tells you the story. Now you guys need to make sure you're following the data. The data is telling you that the UK, the United States, Hong Kong, the Eurozone, all of these places, China, they're all investing in a cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. And they're all releasing frameworks right now at the same time, right? So don't feel like, even though things have been slowed here in the United States, I think that's just the notion that they're trying to give everybody. I think they're just buying time, because when you think about it, we still got court cases that's been lingering for 2 years. But the Library case, they brought a suit against Library, they adjudicated the suit, and it was over that fast. The reason it was over that fast is because a lot of these companies don't have the money to fight, you know, what's going on like Ripple does. Ripple has the war chest, but think about it. 90% of Ripple's customer base is outside of the United States. So when you have a company that's a United States company, but they're working with all of these other countries, right? They benefit all of these other banks, these central banks. They're working with the literally loan officers of central banks, the World Economic Forum, the Bank of International Settlements, the International Monetary Fund. These guys are partners, and you're using a digital asset that is literally speeding up innovation and the way you transact value. globally, of course they're going to tie it up. But think about it. All of these frameworks are all lining up so around the same time. And I don't want to say too much because I'm probably going to give away some valuable stuff that I shouldn't, right? All of my 1%, you guys know. But just know that there's certain things that are happening right now. It's literally happening under our noses. If you haven't already, go back, go follow and get updates for Davos. They just had a Davos meeting last month, and it was 4 or 5 days. There was so much information that came out of Davos. And you have to think, this is where the global elites, right? The princes, the presidents, everybody who is somebody who is in a position of power is there. And they're telling you what's going on, what they plan on doing, food shortages, you know, all of this crazy mess that we see on the news cycle. A lot of people see it and you just react out of fear. But this information is here for a purpose. They're preparing you for what's to come. They have to tell you what's going on before it happens. And I promise you, every single person who did not go back and watch episode 21 of Dot Connect, it's a must. It's a must. I'm telling you, they're forewarning you what's happening. And as you see other countries are starting to adopt certain things, and you're starting to see certain African countries, just seeing it. Oh, they just found, $27 trillion worth of minerals, right? This country found a diamond mine. You know what I mean? A diamond, what do you call it? Like I don't even know what you call it, but it's basically like a drove where a lot of diamonds and things like that exist. And they're finding this in their countries, and they've been walking on this for years. But because a lot of countries are starting to dig, they're using certain technologies that allow you to see under the soil, right? You start to see that these countries are rich in minerals, right? In commodities. They're in abundance, right? So this is the level playing field that they're telling you guys about. And they've been talking about a level playing field since I first came into crypto, 2015. So for it to be 2023 right now, that many years later, but you're now just starting to see this, and all these countries are starting to plus up their gold reserves, in their commodity reserves. They're investing in certain minerals, and they're digging so that they can uncover certain minerals in their countries. It just lets you know that these countries are literally diamond mines, gold mines. So when it comes to the asset-based system, you're going to start to see all these countries disclose to you how much they have in their reserves of gold and diamonds and silver and platinum, palladium, etc. And what's going to happen is it's going to press up. It's going to plus up exactly what their currencies are going to be valued at. So without, saying too much more, just start to pay attention to what's going on, because these frameworks are happening all around you and they're happening simultaneously. So it's just letting me know, in summary, that everybody is working synergistically. Everybody is on the same page. We're about to get certain things that happen, and it's going to be to our benefit, right? So don't feel like things just happen overnight. Stick with it, stick to your guns, maintain your strategy. Just make sure you're being watchful and you're following all the news updates so you know what's going on. And of course, we're going to make sure we provide stuff to you. So give me 1 second. Steve just actually shared something, and he wanted me to play it for you guys. Give me 1 second.
Yo.
Ah, my God. You in the building.
Get off some little corner. Champ firing on y'all. Damn, they not really paying attention.
Nah, they live. They live. They in the chat. They chiming
They
in.
live.
Yeah, they chiming in.
Making sure.
They seen when you came in the building, everybody was bigging you up.
I mean, at this point, man, they can't even say we don't know what we talking about.
Come on, big facts. Big facts.
We would have thought we were orchestrating this shit. Yo, listen, while Champ's getting that video together, guys, so I just came back from Miami. last week for referee conference. And the one thing, and I'm going to do the next Dot Connect with the updates. I got some software for you guys. The biggest thing that they were stressing out there was security, right? This is coming off the FTX situation. So just a quick story about I met there was a lady that was on stage, and I'll get everybody the info on it. But she talked about she runs a VC. She's the head of a VC, a big fund. So she met saying he was trying to investing. Tell me if it's too loud in my background.
It's a little loud, but we can make it out.
Hold on, let me just go away.
And just so y'all understand, when he says VC, he's talking about venture capitalists. I think he's gonna relocate to where he's at, and he's gonna pop back up so he can, kind of drop on y'all. Yo.
Yeah. So she runs she has a venture capitalist fund. So she talked about when she met him, and she was like, there was a bunch of red flags in the first 10 minutes, right? So now we're talking about a bunch of people that put billions of dollars in this kid's hands. That story is way beyond what we can even imagine. How some of the biggest and the smartest minds in finance got caught up with this kid, right? So she said there's a couple things that you look out for with these guys when they're trying to sell you. She said the first thing she asked was, the first red flag was, where's your office, right? He said to her, the metaverse. Red flag. This guy doesn't even have a metaverse. Then she says, okay, so who's your CFO? He don't have a CFO. Red flag. And then the last thing she said was, she was like, you kind of look at their body language and everything, and when they really don't have anything to say, they would try to outsmart you and talk big. It'd just be more technical, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she said the meeting didn't last 15 minutes, and she's like, no way would she invest with that guy, regardless of what they said his track record was. So I was just telling Champ about the way the blockchain is set up, guys. There's so much, and I'm gonna drop a piece of technology on you guys, of software, and this is how we can. So if you're not technical, then none of us really know how to read smart contracts from a technical standpoint. But there's software out there that can assist us in looking at smart contracts, right? So this is the true way to figure out if somebody's a rug pull or not. Because everything's supposed to be on chain, but everything that's been happening in crypto is off chain. How are we losing hundreds of billions of dollars, all of it off chain? You see what I'm saying? So if it's on chain, the way that crypto is going to work in the future, a guy like FTX can never move money because every wallet is going to be disclosed to the public, and you'll start to see comings and goings of transactions.
Facts.
See what I'm saying? And there's guys that follow wallets now. That's like, they be on it. You know what I mean? And they're tracking. So the biggest takeaway from that Miami situation was the security, and I'm kind of happy because honestly, Cam, we belong in that building like nobody's business at the end of the day. Then the other wild part about being there and knowing what I know is I'm looking at all these projects that's just like the last rug pull project. And I'm like, bro, do you know how long I've been in crypto before? And I'm in my head, I'm like, yo, what is any different than what's happening now? And none of them could even answer it. So I'm like playing dumb a little bit to say, oh, that reminds me of Celsius. And they're like, yeah, just like Celsius. And I'm like, bro, we're cooked. You know what I'm saying? You do the next rug pull at this point. Because it really is a liquidity game, guys. There's not too many of these projects right here that are actually in use saving people money right now. So when I gave you VeChain, I'm telling you, I follow this project like nobody's business. Walmart, prior to VeChain, if they had to look for a product within the Walmart store, you know how long it took them to find one product? 24 hours. You know how long it takes them with VeChain? 3 seconds. 3 seconds. So we're talking about, this is the way that you have to start looking at this technology. So if something is going to save people that much time, which means time equates to money, it's going to affect the bottom line, which means they're going to have more profit. You understand? And because all things are going automated right now, you don't have to pay health insurance, you don't have to pay employees, you won't have to worry about productivity, right? Because these robots will never, ever be late. So we have a changing of the guards that's happening currently with this technology, revolution coming from industrial. And we are on the right side of it, guys. Like being in the room with those guys at that level, Phantom. I got a ton of new projects, to have you guys looking at, and they all talked about the regulations in the United States, regulations of what's happening overseas. I mean, if you think the regulations in the US is bullshit, bro, I heard some stories. There was one, Phantom had a situation, one of their products in the country, right? They got them on a technicality, right? You know what the technicality was? Oh, there was a provision somewhere stored away. You couldn't even find it unless you went on site to that building. You had to submit a document in blue ink, a piece of paper, and it had to be filed in a file cabinet at some office in this weird country. And because of that, they didn't comply. So there's a lot of craziness going on in the world right now. There was another story I heard. There was a compliance attorney I met too. So these are guys I'm all bringing onto the platform. The compliance guy, he's like, yo, you know how many people he's seen locked up in the last year just for not registering with certain agencies here in the United States? These guys caught federal time, guys, 2 years, not even on rug pulls. So I'm telling you, man, this thing goes deeper. And when we talk about the 99% are going to fail, I believed it before, but I guarantee it after the stuff I was exposed to. Yeah, go ahead. And so this was, I did a remix on this today, guys. You gotta watch this right here. Like, you gotta really watch what's happening in some of these countries. And they're not reporting it here in the United States, but the fact that the dollar is collapsing in all these places all around the world. I mean, Turkey is like a 20% inflation. This US dollar is bringing countries to their knees right now. And look at this desperation of what's happening right now. That champ.
Lebanon's economy is in shambles. Their local currency has dropped in value by a whopping 95%. We've even seen citizens robbing banks at gunpoint to withdraw the money that they own. As a result, the people of Lebanon have turned to cryptocurrency, many of which have set up mining rigs to farm coins like Bitcoin, Dogecoin, and Litecoin. Others are taking freelance jobs on the internet to get paid in crypto. They are then exchanging the crypto for stable coins, and that's how they're paying for groceries. As many of you may or may not know, this is exactly what cryptocurrency was designed for.
Let's go. Let's
Yo,
go.
understand it, champ. We had an ebook sale from Lebanon last week. I had no clue. You know what I'm saying? So now Champ and I are going to start strategizing with countries that are having these issues, transcribing our ebooks into different languages and offering assistance. Guys, these guys are turning to crypto. They don't even know what to do properly, right? If the US dollar lost 95%, what would y'all do tomorrow? I mean, just think about it. You're lucky that you have this skill here to be able to get money into it. And it's getting harder to get the money into the market. Like, I used to be a guy that stayed with a stable coin somewhere tucked away. I mean, come on, let's talk about it. What's going to happen when they devalue this currency to 95%? I'm not saying it's 95%. I believe it's 30%, but most people are calling it 70%. So that means if you got $1 million, it's going to be valued at, in my world, 700,000. In what they're calling for, 300,000. I mean, what are we doing, guys? What are we doing? This shit is going to literally go to tank. This is the only technology that can help the entire world at this point right now. And y'all got a front row seat, for as long as y'all been watching Champ and I, telling you guys, guiding you guys, in this situation right now. And you can't even ignore what's happening because, that pandemic started overseas. We sat back and we watched it, we partied, and I'm feeling the same wave coming this way with this financial movement, right? It's going to, that dollar is going to depeg overseas before it depegs here. Because when you start looking at currencies dropping 95%, inflation in certain countries averaging 20%, guys, this ain't no joke. You know what I'm saying? So this little quarter basis point, whatever he raised today, what was it? He ain't raising much, right?
Nah, a quarter. Yep.
A quarter, right. So we're not talking about much when most of the world that's still surviving on this petrodollar, they're well over 25, 30% inflation. Do you know what that means? Like it's the opposite of what's happening here. Most of our shelves can't be filled. Over there, everything is filled. Nobody can even afford to buy the food to this point now. So people are resorting to taking the food. Like you have to go to a bank to actually rob the bank for your own money.
Your own cash. Pure insanity. Pure insanity.
Yo, I keep thinking it's a game. We got about, I'd say about 2 more months before they buy the 2 more months. And the timeline is really going to follow lawsuit time because it's going in March. You know what I'm saying? We know all systems are go in a minute. So March is a pivotal time. God, I'm telling you, lock your stuff up. Get rid of these issues. They try to.
He was breaking up. I think he was basically saying, yo, just make sure you start to protect your assets. Get your crypto off these exchanges, start to lock your bread up in these in your cold storage wallets, making sure you have everything offline and in your personal possession, things like that. The things we've already told you. This is nothing new to anybody who's on this call. If you've been a part of the uni, you know what time it is, you know what we preach. So, what he's basically saying is just make sure you're protecting your net. Keep those assets off these exchanges because it's about to get nasty. Steve, where you at? You got real bad reception. We can't hear you. Spence said the Matrix got him. Yeah, nah, we can't hear you, bro.
Yeah, any better?
Yeah, that's better right there. Yeah, they Matrix got him, and then they kicked him off the call. Nah, but like, yo, this is happening. You know what I mean? We was just telling you, I think it was the last document I was telling you guys about the whole Bank of America situation, where they was, taking consumer funds. But what y'all need to realize is Bank of America is the second largest financial institution per assets in the United States, right? So if you got the second largest bank, domestic bank, and they already have 100% ties to cryptocurrency and blockchain, that's letting you know where we at, where we stand, right? Because they only fall second to JP Morgan. So then when you start thinking about other institutions like BlackRock, and they hold 10 trillion in assets, 10 trillion in assets, right? But then you got institutions and governments that have trillions and trillions of dollars. They're already in the backgrounds working on different layer ones, layer twos in cryptocurrency that we're going to utilize and that they're going to utilize for data transfers, value transfers, just Web3 that's on the emergence, right? Web3 is so new that people can't really pinpoint it. But the whole gist of Web3 is basically cutting out intermediaries. You're making things way more efficient than they've ever been. So when you cut out a middle person, right, and you're an entity where you can use a technology to be able to transfer data or release certain pieces of data to certain parties and be able to retain whatever else it is, and you can monetize this. You can monetize your own data. You're monetizing your time, right? Anything that you create. We got people that's on the call right now. Whatever sector you're in, whatever industry you're in, you already know blockchain is going to be a disruptor for that industry. It doesn't matter what it is, right? There's robots that make coffee. Like I showed you guys this. They literally are replacing humans. So there's no need for a barista. You type in the order that you want, say what you want. It's using AI and it's making your coffee for you. That large venti latte with whatever it is that you want, that cold foam and all that stuff you asking for. It's able to make it for you and put it right on top of the counter for you. Boop, here you go. It just cuts you out. Now I don't need to pay you as a person. I don't need to pay you, right? It's little things like that. And they're making like smart McDonald's. Yo, Tone just put this in the chat. He said, I saw a McDonald's with no employees. Yo, what's crazy is literally before we got on the call, maybe 15 minutes, I just saw a video. They was talking about that smart Taco Bells, smart. I don't eat none of this nonsense, but smart Taco Bell, smart McDonald's, where they're eliminating the need for workers. They don't need you no more, because what they're doing is they're standardizing the process so much that is streamlined. The machine, the robot can do this for you. So you don't need the people, right? You don't have to worry about a person not showing up to work, being late. They got into a car accident, or they got to, they're going to be late because they have to pick up their daughter or their son. Things like that. Like it completely eliminates that. So when you start thinking about things like that, like Steve said, time is money. So when you look at things from the time aspect, and me and Steve, we just had this conversation earlier today, right? When you really start to value your time and you start to account for things in time, you start to see how many inefficiencies exist in the world when it comes to humans, right? And how we do things. When you have a machine and you have a process, as long as the machine is operational, it goes by time. So now instead of me only being able to make $1,000 in the span of 3 hours, with human hands, I can make 5,000 in 30 minutes because I have a streamlined process. I have a robot, and as long as the robot is operational, I don't need people. Now you're just only going to need a couple people on standby to make sure the machines are working, right? And then you don't have to worry about the whole human interaction when you're just coming somewhere to get served. Hell, the food at McDonald's, I hate to say this, but the food at McDonald's ain't even real. So it's like, yo, you know what I mean? While you going in there getting fake burgers, I mean, that's what's coming on. That's what's happening. They talking about Bill Gates wants us to change the way that we farm, right? They want us to start implementing blockchain and tech things with foods and what do they call it? Nanoparticles, certain things being inside of your food. So you're not really even eating real food. And then you keep seeing these it was an eggplant, right? It was just a bunch of eggs, 100,000 eggs or chickens or whatever got destroyed. This just happened the other day. So now think about this. When you start seeing things like that, the World Economic Forum just told you at Davos, they're preparing for a food shortage. But then right after Davos, now you see this egg factory catch fire. Ain't no coincidence to that. There is no coincidence to that. They're telling you what's happening. They're preparing you for what's to come. And it's like, yo, some people may look at it and it's like, oh, he's a conspiracy theorist. No, I'm a critical thinker. Like, you have to literally start stepping back and starting putting things in play. You have to pay attention to what's happening, because every time that they tell you what's about to happen, you start to see it. And the more you see it, especially with these devices, a cell phone, the more you start to see it on these phones, the more you desensitize. You ever realize that? You become desensitized to certain things. You see certain things in a movie, buildings getting crashed, planes crashing, all kinds of crazy stuff, right? You see it in the movie over and over, and then after a certain amount of time, you don't even feel it. So it just literally crosses your psyche, and then you process it, and then you go to the next thing. It's just another form of stimuli, right? But the people who's really paying attention, you're able to absorb what's going on, and you're able to critically think, hold on, wait, something ain't right. That's when your gut is telling you, your second brain is talking to you. It's telling you to start paying attention to all these things, because it's not just going to be money that affects us. It's going to be money. It's going to be our food. It's going to be the way we go from point A to point B, right? They're showing you already, they got bullet trains that they're building, that they already have, that'll be able to take you from point A to B in, a matter of moments, as opposed to it taking you an hour to get somewhere. All of these things are literally coming, and they're happening now. So, Carter Russell, welcome to the Zoom. Welcome to Dot Connect. I'm glad to have you on the call. Welcome to the family. Whenever you have people that are coming in, right? I love this, right? When new bodies, new blood comes into the group, right? Because they're able to bring whatever they have their preconceived notions before they come here. And then when they come here, they're able to get more data, more info, and then they're able to grow and expand upon it. I just want everybody to understand that even though we talk crypto and we teach you guys crypto, we're teaching you about real world things that are really, really happening. You know what I mean? Because they're truly going to affect every single household. I don't care what industry you're in. My man Antonio's a driver, right? A truck driver. So think about it. When we tell you guys, Steve was just telling you guys about VeChain. What is VeChain?
VeChain tracks the supply chain, is supply chain management, right? So it's literally showing you how you have a physical trucker, right? Tone, without tone, that product don't move from A to B, right? But then think about it. Now they're creating certain things where they may not even need actual drivers. They might create some sensors on the road where you got smart trucks and things like that. If they already doing it in a Tesla where you can drive without your hands and you just type in the coordinates to get you from A to B, why can't they start doing it on these big ass pickup trucks and these big ass 18-wheelers? Now think about it. Now you're cutting out somebody and you're taking freight and cargo from point A to B, right? And then you're able to track this by RFID tags, right? You're able to track this by QR codes, things like that. Or they can put technology like VeChain's technology, right? Where they're able to tell you, well, it's a little coin, right? That has, it's like a scan thing on it. You download an app, you scan the tag, it'll tell you the product life cycle from literally from when it was created to every place that it's been until it got to the end user, right? And then now think about the competitors when it comes to life cycles and supply chain. There's another competitor to this. We dropped this in the 1%. It was on the very last day, day 3. Everybody who was in there, y'all got to play. Y'all know who the competitor is. Everybody else, I challenge you to find it on your own. I'm not going to give it to you, right? It's a 1% project. I'm not being selfish, but I want you guys to fish, right? I'm just telling you, that is your cue. That is your clue for you to go find it. It is the #1 cryptocurrency competitor to VeChain. It does almost the exact same thing, the same efficiencies. It tracks the same things. Both of them have huge partnerships. So when it comes to supply chains, think about it. You already use this stuff in the world that we have today. You're already using it. So if we got, let's say we need to ship a package. If I need to ship Twitty something, or not, if I need to ship Eddie something, I can easily send it and I don't have to use USPS. I got options. I got USPS, UPS, FedEx, right? So there's a multitude of things that are going on in this world that allow you to do this. Yo, what's crazy is Dub, good looking, Dub. And matter of fact, this was a clip from inside. This was a clip that I had from .connect episode 21, last week's episode. Give me 1 second. Let me download this. I'm gonna play this. Y'all bear with me. All right, I'm about to share my screen. Share. Yeah, I think it's sweet. I shared this on the last one. Crazy. So that's crazy. Like, yo, you seeing this innovation in real time. Like, I need y'all to understand that. They're literally they're taking jobs. Like, this is in real life. This is happening right now. They're eliminating the need for quote unquote pointless jobs. Right? So nobody's job is safe. So when we're sitting here telling you guys about real world stuff that's going on, we teaching you crypto, but we're teaching you literally how to do this so you're super efficient. And then once you know how to research certain things, once you know how to pinpoint and pick out data that's in a haystack, 20-something thousand cryptocurrencies, right? But we telling you that there's only a certain type of cryptocurrency that's literally going to exist that is going to take you into the new realm, right? It's things that solve real world problems. They have real world use case. They're not going to need you to make a burger for somebody. They're not going to need you to make a drink for somebody. The machine going to be able to do it for you. So now what are you going to do for money?
So it's like, yo, they're literally going to separate us. The high earners, the high yielders, the rich, the wealthy from the poor, right? It's not going to be a middle class. It's going to be over for that. B&B said, seen something similar at Walmart, made ice cream and smoothies 2 years ago. Listen, it's here. You think about all these movies, I, Robot and all that. You remember like certain movies people might have seen. I'm not even a movie buff like that, but certain movies that you see, you remember how they had weaponized little bots and robots and stuff like that? Didn't y'all already see the little robots that they like dogs? You know what I mean? They had weapons on their heads. Like, yo, this is real. So now you're not having to have SWAT teams go in buildings. You could send one of these little AI joints, these little robots, into the building. They got facial recognition software. They come in the joint, boom. You know what I mean? Not only can they return fire, you know what I mean, but they probably might be up armored. Now you don't have to risk human life to go in here and do certain things. Yo, the future is here. It's now. It's already happening. So when we tell y'all this stuff, like, yo, we not just making this, pulling this out of, you know what I mean, the clear blue skies. We're not just making this up. We telling y'all because they're telling y'all. They're preparing you, but not everybody has the eyes to really see, right? Just because you got eyes don't mean you're able to pinpoint and see what's being done to you or what's happening in the world around you. So listen, I'm about to cut this. I'm gonna leave this on a high note. I just truly want y'all to understand, we say this a million times over. Make sure you're paying attention to everything that's going on around you, because it's literally going to affect you, your children, your spouses, their children. It's all starting with you. So what are you going to do? You going to sit on the sidelines, you're going to play games, or you going to stay here, stay focused, get the knowledge, and actually execute? Like, I know that there's certain people in this group that I've literally seen the growth, the progression. I've seen how you guys get busy when it came to spot calls, when it came to Steve giving plays, and y'all just came in bombing. I seen it. I seen certain people who I can literally point. I could call out on this call right now. I seen them take data, learn it, execute, and profit from it. Right? Everything is not about money. I don't stress that. Everything is not about money. But when you're able to take data and information, process it, learn it, and then execute on it, that's putting you into a certain category that everybody doesn't fall into. You could sit down and buy 1 million books, but if you never open a book, you're never going to succeed at that because you didn't execute it. But the people that's on this call, definitely salute y'all. You know what I mean? It's a lot of y'all that I'm really proud of that I got firsthand knowledge of. I speak to y'all off these calls all the time. And yo, y'all be focused. I love it. I love to see it. Like that's my joy. You know what I mean? I love that. So when me and Steve are out here doing certain things and we go into different conferences and networking and trying to build and bring value back to the group, like, I know it's not falling on deaf ears. You know what I mean? So y'all stay engaged, y'all stay focused, keep doing what y'all been doing, and we're gonna keep pouring into y'all, I promise. Yo, Steve, I know you back on the call, you muted, but did you have something for them? I don't know if he can hear me, y'all, but I'm just ask while he's on. All right, anybody out there got anything? Y'all got a question or y'all want to add something?
All I gotta say, I always appreciate y'all, man.
Yeah, my God. Nah, I appreciate that. Yo, Steve, man, appreciate you chiming in. I know you out there handling business, but you know what I mean? Definitely love you. Appreciate you for coming on. And like I said, Steve he was out there in the thick of it. I got to see certain things from the live stream. It's just a completely different beast. You actually being out there, being in the rooms and being able to network, and some of the info that Steve brought on, insane. He said the Web3 courses are starting this month. This is where we learn how to use the products. And there's a tool that he was mentioning. I know you guys really couldn't hear what he was saying, but there's a tool that's going to teach you guys some stuff. And I don't even want to give you guys a hint, but super, super, super dope. I'm actually learning it myself and I'm digging in myself because, you know, I'm a data guy. You know what I mean? I'm a nerd with this shit. And Steve, the way he was able to kind of rub shoulders with certain people and they were able to give him some insight is going to trickle down to us. So especially when it comes to Web3, these big enterprises and big companies are about to start using it. So this is going to give us a competitive advantage, you know, against the rest of the world. Like these are the type of things that go on at these events. So just know when Steve comes back on the call, we'll either set up a separate call for y'all or we'll just catch y'all next Wednesday. But we'll make sure y'all get all the updates and everything that's going on. So, you know what I mean? Y'all stay tuned. Steve don't have nothing else. Y'all ain't got no questions for me. We out of here. Episode 22. Done.